All right, another loss for the Utah Jazz, but the biggest loss was Taylor Hendricks, who went down with an honestly horrific injury, reminiscent of Paul George breaking his leg at USA Basketball, Gordon Hayward breaking his leg and dislocating his ankle for the Boston Celtics a few years ago. Just horrible. And just to start the show, we just got to talk about Taylor Hendricks and just how awful that was. We were live streaming and it was just disbelief. I was with Sven tonight on the live stream on playback and just terrible. I honestly, watching that injury was, I didn't even really see it. It happened so fast. And then now, and we're not going to show it obviously, but you can go online and see it. It's terrible. His Taylor Hendricks, if you didn't know, broke his leg and dislocated his ankle. Basically what it looked like is he kind of planted his foot and his leg just kind of got caught underneath him and his whole body weight came down and his leg broke basically and in half. It was terrible. So the first thing we've just got to talk about is absolutely just say your prayers, keep your thoughts, good vibes, whatever, for Taylor Hendricks, because my goodness, this was absolutely horrific. These are the types of injuries that are just so hard to come back from. And I have no doubt he will. You don't want to diagnose at all. I'm sure Taylor Hendricks will go through the whole process and will come back just as strong. It just sucks that he misses out on an entire year of development for him. But the thing that sucks the most is just for him as a person. You can imagine the physical therapy he's going to have to go through. The pain of the injury alone is just horrific. And just what he's going to be going through the next week or two as he travels home, goes through surgery, recover from surgery, and then just that road from that injury to getting back to 100% health. And then, like I said, physical therapy, rehabilitation. It's going to be a rough road. Hopefully, it sounds terrible in these situations. I guess you hope that it's just bone break or something like that and that it can be recovered. But even still, like that type of break, it just sucks. It's just totally, there's nothing about it that isn't terrible. I honestly feel, obviously Taylor Hendricks could care less about me or this channel, but I would just say that we'll be rooting for him. We'll be saying prayers at my house for him to just get through it. And just for you know what I mean? If you've ever been through a bad injury, I've never been through anything like that. So I don't want to compare anything I've been through to what Taylor Hendricks did. But when I broke my collarbone in wrestling, it hurt so bad, and that feeling of having that bone against bone is the weirdest, strangest, most unnerving feeling. And so for him to feel that on a court, have all these eyes on him, it being such a much more severe injury, I feel terrible for the guy. And obviously I know everyone here watching and everyone in the basketball universe and just in general is rooting for him. Could not just absolutely just the best feelings for Taylor Hendricks. We all feel awful. He's a big part of the future too. Whatever the Jazz do down the road, Taylor Hendricks is a part of it. And this is not the end. He's going to come back. He's going to be a part of it. He's going to have a big, full, long career. We've seen all their players. We mentioned Gordon Hayward and Paul George both came back. Paul George has come back and been amazing. And Gordon Hayward came back and wasn't quite the same, but I think it's a mentality thing. And I think Taylor Hendricks is tough. And, we don't know all the details. We know the Jazz reported that it was a broken, is it fibula or tibia? I can't remember exactly. It's a broken leg. I believe it's the lower bone. And then it's a dislocated ankle. Hopefully that doesn't mean terrible ligament damage, but if it is, whatever happens, Taylor Hendricks is going to get through it. He's going to be like Will Hardy post game said that this is just a pause in the Taylor Hendricks story, and I completely agree, because Taylor Hendricks is going to come back. He's going to be strong. We're all going to be rooting for him. We're all going to be praying for him. He'll come back He'll be great. He's going to become what we all hoped. It sucks that it gets delayed a year and he misses out on that year of development. I was talking with Sven and we saw some moments tonight even. He had that block shot where he was protecting the rim. And I think the idea of Taylor Hendricks being a potential center in the future is 100% possible. And he's going to do it. He's such a dynamic defensive prospect and was showing all those signs. He had gained strength, like Will Hardy said, and some weight in the offseason that added some, just some ability to for him to just withstand the rigors of playing, center and power forward and going up against the strongest players in the league, like a Luka Doncic tonight. And so just prayers for Taylor Hendricks. I feel terrible. I'm sure everyone else does. It just sucks in every way possible. And so, yeah, all I have to say for Taylor Hendricks is we're rooting for him. Obviously, he'll be back. He'll be great. He'll be fine. And I tell you what, man, it was hard to watch the other players watching it. Klay Thompson, the other team, just looked just as, distraught as the Jazz players were. Watching him on the ground, seeing what happened to his leg, it was terrible. And, Keonte George on the sideline, he's in tears. His quotes today were really good. What did Keonte say about it? He said, Keonte George says, it just put me in an emotional state. That's just my brother. I didn't know him growing up, and then building a relationship with him over the year. He felt like family. I told him I loved him, told him I'm here for him, whatever he needs. And I'm sure the entire team feels the same way. And so this is going to be a big time thing for this team to get over, because Taylor Hendricks was a core part of what they were doing, but they will be fine. Now let's talk a little bit about the Jazz and also, I guess, what's going forward. I mean, this kind of changes what this show would be typically. The Jazz, the numbers didn't show it, but they played pretty well tonight. I mean, considering what they did against the Dallas Mavericks, where they lost by like 30 or 40 points, tonight they lose by 8, and I felt like they played pretty well. They played good defense. There you go. That's another reason they're going to miss Taylor Hendricks, because his defensive impact was there. You could feel it in this game, and they're going to miss it. So Utah's going to have to do some adjustments. In fact, let's just talk about it now. I mean, with Taylor Hendricks going out, you're probably going to see Lauri Markkanen move to the 4 spot more, play that power forward role. Obviously, Kessler will go to the center, but Taylor Hendricks was a starter on this team playing big minutes. So I think what this means is you're likely going to see more Cody Williams. I would not be surprised if he starts with Lauri Markkanen at the 4. Someone was talking to me, I can't remember, sorry to whoever was talking to me online, mentioned possibly Bryce Sensabaugh at the 3. I don't know if that's the case. I have not been super impressed by everything we've seen by Sensabaugh, but you never know. Maybe the Jazz feel like with his year under his belt, he might be better. We'll see. But my guess, just based off of what we've seen with rotations, with Cody Williams being the first player off the bench typically, Markkanen probably goes to the 4 to take those Hendricks minutes, and I bet we see Cody Williams start at the 3. And people were saying, well, he's not ready, maybe Bryce Sensabaugh. Bryce Sensabaugh's in his second season and only played half a season last year and hasn't shown an ability to really handle the ball. But he has had some improved moments this year. So you never know. It could be, I guess my bet would be Cody Williams starts and Bryce Sensabaugh gets some more minutes. We did see when Taylor Hendricks went down, Filipowski came in immediately. Now, he only played 5 minutes, and they kind of went back to some different rotations. So we will see. But anyways, let's see. So Taylor Hendricks, all power to Taylor Hendricks. The prayers, the vibes, make sure you say a prayer for Taylor Hendricks tonight if you're the praying type. All right, Lauri Markkanen did not have a great night shooting, but we talked about this during the live stream. Watching Lauri Markkanen, they are definitely trying to develop a mid-range game for him and an isolation game. It's not quite there yet, but in some ways you can look at this season as a development season for Lauri Markkanen just as much as it is for everyone else, all the young players. Markkanen's got to figure out how to be able to get the ball in the post and punish a mismatch. He had moments tonight where he had smaller guys on him in the post. Like he had Dinwiddie on him at one time, and it did turn into a foul. But you would hope that Markkanen getting the ball free throw line in isolation against a mismatch, a smaller player, that he can just kind of score on that guy, especially with that big time contract he got. He is a max player, and max players are those players that typically are able to do that. So you would hope that Markkanen can do that. So I like that the Jazz are still kind of developing Lauri Markkanen to be a better player than what he is, especially with all the youth they're playing. Now is the time to be able to do those things. If Lauri Markkanen gets traded to the Golden State Warriors last offseason, he's probably not doing that. He's probably doing what he does well. And, you know, what he does well, he did tonight. He shot 3 for 5 from 3. We know Lauri Markkanen can shoot the 3. Utah is not worried about winning these games right now. They are worried about developing their players for the future, and that includes Markkanen. So if Markkanen can knock down those mid-range jumpers, can continue to get to the line at a high rate. I actually looked it up during the game. Markkanen for the season is actually number 13 in the league in free throw attempts. So he's at an elite level of getting free throws. So his ability to shoot the 3, to drive, go to the free throw line is incredible. And then if he can add that ISO game in the mid-range, can knock down those shots, especially against mismatches, because that's what the playoffs are, guys. When you are in the playoffs, you are hunting mismatches, and you need Markkanen to be able to punish them, just like other teams will try to punish the Jazz in the future when they're in the playoffs. It's what you do. So Utah is training Lauri Markkanen to not just be the finisher, but to also be the punisher. Punish mismatches. Punish them if they even think about putting on a lesser player on Lauri Markkanen. They want him to punish them, so Markkanen needs to continue to develop that. That's something to watch. Watch the game. Watch Markkanen. Watch how they're getting him the ball, free throw line extended, but pretty much free throw line, and they need him to just score in those situations, you know? That's just what he needs to do. It has not happened yet. He is not hitting those shots, but you can bet that over time he will. Hopefully he will. Hopefully. It's an important shot he needs to add. Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton were probably the best players on the Jazz tonight. Walker Kessler had another nice night. This season, Walker Kessler is having himself some games. Tonight, he goes 12 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist. He had 2 block shots, 2 steals. He played great tonight. He was a -3 in the Jazz close loss. He was great. Walker Kessler is really figuring it out. I'm going to do a video about it afterwards probably, but we're seeing more trade rumors trade rumors, it basically means other teams are asking about Walker Kessler. This is the Lakers this is now the 3rd report we're hearing about the Lakers being interested in Kessler, and maybe it's just reporters rehashing a report they already have, but you can bet that there are teams that are going to start asking the Jazz about Walker Kessler. Losing Taylor Hendricks, it does make you wonder how this affects the team makeup. Probably not a lot for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Utah is willing to listen to offers all season long. Whether or not Taylor Hendricks got hurt, I'm sure the Jazz were going to listen to offers, especially, they're not going to be able to make a trade. I just don't know who out there is going to trade for Jordan Clarkson, especially when he keeps shooting like this, 27%. But Jordan Clarkson, John Collins are there to be had if anyone wants them. If anyone wants to make even a minimal trade option for Clarkson or Collins, I'm sure the Jazz would listen, especially if it came with any sort of draft compensation. But as far as Walker Kessler, we know the price point. If a team wants Walker Kessler, we found out from the Knicks rumors that it's going to take 2 first-round picks. Now, maybe the Lakers and the Jazz can figure something out. It took them a while to do the Mike Conley trade when they got that done. Maybe the Jazz and Lakers figure something else out in that situation. I don't know. But it certainly seems like they are listening to offers. Whether they take them, I don't know. We'll see. Keonte George, the shooting has not been good to start the season. It has not. He shoots 6 for 18 from the field, 33%, and 14% from 3. The shooting has not been better. He does score 17 in this one, though, with 5 assists and 5 rebounds. That's nice to see. Let's see. Wait, was it? Yeah, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, and only 3 turnovers. So that's pretty good. The shooting has not been there. And there are moments where you do watch him and you are just There's certain shots he needs to just not take. Now, sometimes you can't avoid it. You've got to take the late shot clock shot sometimes. But the shooting has not been good enough from Keonte. But guess what? Second-year guard, you are just looking for him to develop. That's what he was doing. That's what Taylor Hendricks was doing. It's a season-long development project, and honestly, next year as well. So, but what I did see an improvement from Key was that he was moving the ball. I mean, he does take 18 shots, and the shooting has just got to be better. But he is getting to the line a little bit, and so you'll take it. The offense is flowing when he's on the floor. The movement is better. We're seeing a lot of it, and it sucks that Taylor Hendricks got injured, but there were a lot of moments where you're seeing that initial pass, and then a player like Taylor Hendricks or Markkanen or Kessler are making another pass to the open inside shot. So the offense is flowing better. That is something nice to see. But basically at this point, what you want from Keonte George is an improvement in decision-making and an improvement in shooting. And sometimes the improvement in shooting is not just making shots. A lot of times it's just learning when not to take the shot or how to not take the shot. For his whole career, I'm sure Key has been the best player on the floor. He's been able to get to his shots, and he's finding out, like a lot of rookies do, there are certain shots he's not able to take that he once was able to, whether it was college, AAU, whatever, learning to not take those shots. And it seemed a little better tonight. He was at least making a few more, but that's something he's going to have to learn. And it's going to be tough. And, after 2-3 years, if he doesn't learn those things, it's going to be tough. But that's what this season is about, is figuring that out. And, we were talking about it, me and Sven, like one thing I would love for Key is, he got 5 assists tonight, led the team in assists, which is great. But I hope that he can learn to have just as much joy in getting the assist as he does in getting the bucket. If he takes 4 less shots tonight, if he goes 6 for 14, tonight's not a bad night, if he figures out a way to do that. That's going to be the hard part for him, is where his whole life, and this is a thing you have to have in basketball too. And I know you guys love to troll me in the comments about my love for Key. I love Key. He's my favorite player to watch on the Jazz right now. He really is. But one of the things that's got to be so incredibly hard is that to succeed in basketball, and this is in life in general too, like in your everyday lives, in my everyday life, you've got to learn to have that over-the-top confidence in yourself. You have to have that belief. You've got to have confidence. You have to have that strength to take the ball and go score the ball. And he's had to have that and develop that his whole life to get to where he is. And now at the most peak level of his profession against other NBA athletes who are at their peak as well, you've got to learn when to not do those things. How do you go from saying, I've got to have the peak confidence in myself, to now adjusting to passing the ball more often? He's got to figure it out. It's tough. In a lot of ways, it's just a mental thing. And he's going to learn it. These players, it takes time. Learning to be a guard in the NBA is hard. Keonte George is going from being a shooting guard to learning the point guard position in the NBA. It's tough to do. So we'll see if he can. He may not. He may. But we've just got to watch it. It's 3 games in. We'll see. That's what this season is about, is letting them develop. There's going to be lots of nights like tonight where we see 33% from the field. A lot. But when he has those nights that he does shoot well, you got to appreciate it. And commend him. And this is the other thing. And tonight was a good reminder, watching Key crying on the sideline. Key cares. All these players care. Kessler cares. All these guys care immensely. They care about Taylor Hendricks. They love that guy. He's been in the locker room with them, on the plane, on the bus together. Now he's not going to be there. They all care. They all are doing everything they can. And so when they're making these mistakes like this, it's because they're trying to do well. It's not like he's going out there and being like, oh man, I hope I shoot 33% from the field tonight. In his head, I'm sure he's like, if I just do this, those buckets will fall. And so he's figuring it out. It is what it is. And if he doesn't figure it out after 2-3 seasons, then, you'll go from there. But what you do hope is that he does, and that he learns to take 4 or 5 less shots. But it's not just taking less shots. It's learning how to make those non-shots be efficient, right? It's like so much, we watched it with Donovan Mitchell for so long where Donovan Mitchell just had to learn the moves to score. And he had such that Donovan Mitchell has that elite bounce and explosion. Key is extremely quick, and you can tell he's really crafty. He's not quite the same explosive athlete that Donovan Mitchell is. He's just not. And so where Donovan Mitchell had to learn how to get some of those different scoring opportunities and score in different ways, Keonte George is going to have to learn the different moves and things to create the assists or at least play within the offense. So, when you get stuck and there's 6 seconds left on the shot clock and you've got that panic and he's trying to make a shot, he's got to learn to control, learn to be calm within the storm, understand this is how I set up this next shot for someone else and I don't set up a bad shot for someone else, And maybe that's another way to think about it. He's, I'm sure Key would rather take a bad shot than set someone else up for a bad shot. He's got to learn how to play that point guard role where, you've got 5-6 seconds left. This is a play I can do to set up a shot for someone else. It's a process. It's just going to happen. It was nice to see him do better tonight, though. 5 assists, 5 rebounds. I'll take it. Especially on a night where you watched your close friend that you got drafted with go down with a horrific injury. Pretty impressive that they were able to kind of gather themselves and play well. It was obviously a super emotional night, really tough. Colin Sexton, along with Walker Kessler, was the best player on the floor for tonight for the Jazz. Holy smokes. The efficiency from Sexton was incredible. He scores 23 points on 81% shooting from the field. There are nights where Colin Sexton is like this and he can take advantage of certain mismatches. This is one thing Lowry's trying to do, but Colin Sexton is so good at it. When he has certain mismatches and certain teams are he finds an avenue, he just absolutely takes advantage of it like no one else. 9 for 11 from the field, 2 for 3 from 3 for 4 from the free throw line. He was about as close to a perfect offensive night as you could ask for. And then 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. And one thing that Colin Sexton is extremely good at, and there are going to be teams out there that are likely going to be really interested in him on the trade market, and Utah may not want to trade him. Maybe they just keep him. I don't know. This season, everything is on the table. But he does a great job of taking advantage of, Key's playing point, so he's getting that point of attack defense. Lauri Markkanen is getting their best defender and a lot of focal point of their defensive focus. And so Colin Sexton, in a lot of ways, being that third option, it's awesome. And it's nice to see that he takes advantage of it. So tonight was absolutely one of those nights. 23 points. He was a positive in a loss, which is awesome to see. Jordan Clarkson has had has struggled to shoot the ball this year. It's not been great. He's played within the offense. He had 4 assists tonight, so he is moving the ball as well. 5 rebounds is nice to see. But, he's just struggled to shoot the ball. And if the Jazz want to trade Jordan Clarkson, it's likely not very possible because, other teams can go check Basketball Reference just like we can, and it's not great. But he is passing the ball, which is really nice to see. Cody Williams, we mentioned it already. I don't know if he's actually hit a 3 this whole season. I'm really waiting for it. You see the flashes from Cody Williams. But he is shooting he has not hit a 3 yet this season. So that's what I'm waiting for. I can't wait for him to start feeling it. He can. He did it in Summer League and ended up having just a monster Summer League by the end. But it's not falling for him just yet. It will. I mean, he does a lot of little things, 4 rebounds, 1 block. But you just hope that he can find that stroke from the 3-point line because he can do it. His passing is actually very impressive. His finishing is very solid. We saw it in college. He took 5 shots. He made 1 tonight. But I'm excited to watch Cody Williams develop. He is actually going to be getting more minutes. So, with those lack of minutes going to Taylor Hendricks, Cody Williams is probably going to benefit because he's just going to get more time on the floor. And with Utah being in a focus on development this year, I just would be surprised if he does not get, he's played 15 minutes tonight. He's probably playing 20, 25 minutes a night at least, I would imagine, because like we said, Taylor Hendricks with him out, Lauri Markkanen probably plays the 4, and that opens a big time gap in the small forward. And Cody Williams is kind of their only small forward, unless you consider Bryce Sensabaugh small forward. Bryce Sensabaugh plays a little more and seems a little more like a guard to me, but he is like 6'5", so he's at least can potentially do that. So I'm sure Cody Williams and Bryce Sensabaugh, their minutes are going to go up. And right when the injury happened, Kyle Filipowski came in and he got some minutes. So I wouldn't be surprised if Filipowski gets more minutes. The only thing about Filipowski, and I don't know if he will get a lot, and I could be wrong because the Jazz have kind of played him at the power forward, but I kind of just look at Filipowski as a stretch center is kind of what I'm seeing from him. He does kind of remind me, like, if everything works out, he kind of reminds me of Vucevic on Chicago a little bit, that he can pass the ball. He's got an offensive game, can face up and do some things, and he can shoot the three. So we'll see. I just don't know if he's all that ready, but I do look at him as a center. And so, Kessler getting minutes, John Collins getting minutes. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm sure he will start getting more minutes and probably playing the 4. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with Filipowski. But he came in for 5 spot minutes, but then didn't really play much after the fact. So I don't know. It was interesting. We'll see what happens. He was kind of an emergency play tonight. And then he didn't get his first NBA bucket tonight. So I don't have a lot to say about Kyle Filipowski, but other than I think it'll be interesting to see if he actually does get to play a little more. I wouldn't be surprised if he does start getting like 5 to 10 minutes a night. Kind of the same amount of minutes we're seeing from Sensabaugh. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we see from Filipowski, just so he can get some floor minutes. He's going to benefit. He probably was going to get shipped off to the G League, but now with Taylor Hendricks out, it's better to be getting NBA minutes than G League minutes. And I would say, 5 to 15 minutes a night on an NBA floor are much more valuable than 30 to 40 in the G League, So I guess in some ways that's a silver lining that Filipowski and Cody Williams will get more development this year. Let's see. John Collins played pretty solid. Someone was asking me, 16-6 is pretty good for John Collins. We've talked about this already. The perception of John Collins is probably somewhat negative, but it's really just solely based off of his contract. If John Collins was making $5 to $10 million a year, people would love him because he plays hard. He'll have he had a highlight dunk tonight. The percentage, he did shoot 3 for 6 from 3, so that's nice to see. So hopefully that 3-point percentage can go up. He does some nice things every night. He plays hard. He rebounds in traffic. He does a lot of nice things. He's just got some limitations. The Jazz obviously view him as a center and strictly play him as a stretch center. But he is 6'8", 6'9". He is undersized, and so that just comes with some limitations. He doesn't have the same kind of defensive prowess that Hendricks had. That's what sucks so bad about the injury to Hendricks, is I do think that Hendricks over time was going to kind of develop into potential 5, but Hendricks was so athletic and can move so well, he could play at the 4 easily, guarding anyone's 4, and even guarding, tonight Hendricks was playing 1 through 5 defense. It's just, man, it sucks that he got hurt. But yeah, John Collins will likely, I think this is about what he's going to do. I don't think the Jazz are going to start John Collins at the 4. They already know that doesn't work. So he'll just continue to do what he's doing. If John Collins was doing 5 to 10 million a year, you'd be really excited about these numbers. He does not. So, 25 million is why people think of him the way they do. It is what it is. And I don't hold John Collins getting a contract that he did. We all try to get paid as much as we can in all our professions, right? So, I'm going to appreciate John Collins for what he is, and what he is a nice rotation player in the NBA. Patty Mills has been playing 10 minutes. I tell you what, I'm really excited for Isaiah Collier to get back from injury. You want to see Collier come back and just get those minutes. I'm sure he will. Patty Mills, you can already see why he was not playing. He's getting older, and so he's struggling a little bit. So it will be nice to see Isaiah Collier come back. These 10 minutes that go to Mills likely go to Collier. And, we'll probably see some minutes distribution over the entire team with Hendricks out. So I really am excited to watch Collier. I think he's a lot of fun, and so it would be nice to see him get 10 to 15 minutes a night. That's all I got. I mean, I guess as far as the Mavericks, Klay Thompson had another nice night. He seems to have fit well with them, and they smoked the Jazz. So yeah, well, they didn't smoke the Jazz. The Jazz played well. So that's all I got in terms of post game. One thing you've got to be excited about, Jazz fans. Look at this. Let's just refresh and make sure it doesn't drop. Don't drop. Don't drop. Look at that. Look who's at number 2 for the Jazz. And by the way, one of the watchers made a point that we can do the lottery from the mock. So Utah right now is at the number 2 spot in the lottery. So to everyone that said the Jazz will never lose enough games, well, here we go. And I don't have the pettiness in me left. I'm getting old and washed to look up all the comments from before. But Utah is sitting at number 2. So, and you guys know what this means. Let's see. Let's move this over here. Let's pull up the music. Let's bring up the music, guys. It's time to do our lottery poll of the night. Utah is sitting at number 2. If this is how this ends, I'm really happy and really excited. This is what I want to see. This is what all Jazz fans should want to see. Are you kidding me? If we come out of this draft with Ace Bailey, you've got to be so excited. He looks like basically Paul George 2.0. What an incredible pickup that would be. I mean, why couldn't he be like the same thing that Jason Tatum is for Boston, right? He looks so impressive. I don't know if he has the handle quite that Tatum has, but who says he can't develop it? But at worst, he's like a Paul George. How cool would that be to add Ace Bailey to the Utah Jazz? All right, if the lottery was today, Utah sits at number 2. Let's see, wait, I got to get my chart back. The drum roll, guys. The anticipation is killing me. Let's see what happens. And I've got to move over here just really quick. Okay, boom. So, last time, Jazz fall at 6, but they moved to number 2. What happens in this one? The Denver Nuggets jump 10 spots? Oh my gosh. Well, here's an example of why being at number 2 matters. Utah only falls to 4 in this situation, which gets them a chance to pick between Nolan Traore and BJ Edgecombe. In this situation, I pick BJ Edgecombe because he reminds me of Jaylen Brown. That's who I think BJ Edgecombe is to me. Just an incredible athlete. Will play the shooting guard or the 5. Just an absolute incredible athlete. So Utah gets their pick between Nolan Traore and BJ Edgecombe. So the number 4, that right there is why you want the bad record. That right there. Instead of the Jazz going from like 6 to 8, they go from 2 to 4, right? It's a big deal. And that means you get a choice between all these guys. Hugo Gonzalez is considered an elite level defender. You could even pick Kaman Malawach if you want him. He's right there. I got to look up Trey Johnson and Liam McNeely and Drake Powell as well. Some interesting prospects. So Utah gets the number 4 pick. They come away with, in my opinion, BJ Edgecombe. He has the coolest nickname outside of Cooper Flagg, who is the main event. The villain, BJ Edgecombe, will likely go to the Utah Jazz. And by the way, the Utah Jazz have sent scouts multiple times to go see BJ Edgecombe. I have courtside tickets to go see the Utah Utes play the Baylor Bears this upcoming season. I believe it's in January. You're going to see your boy in the Utah Utes Stadium watching the villain come to Utah. I am excited to watch it. So I guess, guys, if you want to see me that night, come watch the Utes play the Baylor Bears, and we can all watch future Utah Jazz man BJ Edgecombe on the Jazz. All right. Let's give a shout out to our All-Stars tonight. Let's give a shout out to Baby Elliott Madsen, Dirty Jazz Car Wash Channel, See Ya, Lex Slater, Christian House Money to Haas, The Outlaw Jesse James Nelson, Jordan the Goat Bessroll, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, KG10 to TH5, and Patrick Akubo, the Connoisseur. Guys, this was a lot of fun. Like and subscribe to the channel. What a rough night for Taylor Hendricks. Prayers to him and his family. Like and subscribe to the channel, guys. I will talk to you next time.